Do you ever feel overwhelmed by the ever-changing world of technology? Tech It Out can help make some sense of it all. Breaking down geek speak into street speak, technology columnist, author, and TV personality Mark Saltzman covers consumer technology each week for every listener. Mark tackles the latest news, reviews, and how-tos to help you understand what's hot, what's not, and why.
Hey everyone, welcome to Tech It Out, episode 184. Hope you're all having a great weekend so far. My older two, my twins, went back to college today after being home for reading week, which was really nice. A bit of a break for them. And my youngest in high school started back in class every other morning at least, but still learning online for the most part. Anyhow, it was great to have all five of us together last week, all under one roof. Well, I trust that you're doing well and staying healthy, and if not vaccinated yet, are able to soon. We have a great Tech It Out plan for you this hour. We're going to kick things off in a moment with a chat about Alexa tips and tricks, how to get more out of your favorite smart speaker. I wrote about this topic last weekend for USA Today, and I'll interview Katherine Prescott from voicebrew.com. It's an email newsletter devoted to smart speakers. After that, I'll replay an interview with a company called Good Trust about what happens to your digital life after you die. They've got an impressive solution. I wrote about Good Trust last week in AARP. Wow, I'm just shamelessly plugging all my articles on the show, aren't I? And finally, we're going to learn about a new and high-tech spin on LEGO. It's a brand new LEGO product called LEGO VIDIYO. All of this and more on a brand new Tech It Out, powered by ASUS, for those in search of incredible. I'll tell you more about ASUS shortly, but let's kick off the show with our first interview. Depending on whom you ask, 1 in 4 or 1 in 5 of us now own an Amazon Echo device, powered by the Alexa voice assistant, of course. Whether it's 20% or 25% of the population, it's huge. Perhaps we love the simplicity of these hands-free, voice-powered smart speakers that will answer our questions or control our smart homes. And once you own one, it's fun to discover what else it can do. So who better to chat with about a handful of Alexa tips and tricks than Katherine Prescott, founder and editor of VoiceBrew, a free email newsletter about your smart speaker. Welcome back to the show, Katherine. Good to chat with you.
Great to be with you again, Mark, and thanks for having me.
Of course. Now, for those who didn't catch our first talk, before we get to some great Alexa tips and tricks, tell us about yourself and VoiceBrew.
Thanks, Mark. So I am the founder and editor of VoiceBrew. I launched VoiceBrew 2 years ago. I think the last time we spoke was almost 1.5 years ago, Mark. So, really happy to be back here with you today.
Likewise. BC, before COVID.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
BC, gosh, seems
right.
like more than 1.5 years.
For sure.
So I launched VoiceBrew 2 years ago with a mission of helping people learn how voice tech like Alexa and Google Assistant can make their lives better. And today we are the #1 email newsletter, free email newsletter for helping people get the most out of Alexa and Google Assistant.
Awesome. Congratulations on that. I subscribe to VoiceBrew. Do you want to remind listeners how they can sign up for the newsletter? And then we'll jump into some great Alexa tips and tricks.
Yes, and thank you for asking. It's super easy to subscribe. Just go to voicebrew.com. That's voice, BREW.com, and enter your email address right on the homepage. You can't miss it, and you'll start receiving our free email newsletter today. We send it out every Monday through Thursday. Alexa and Google Assistant tips and tricks in your inbox.
Yes, I know you added Google Assistant fairly recently, but today we are going to borrow your expertise when it comes to Alexa. It is, as I mentioned off the top, without question, the most popular smart assistant in our homes. So with that in mind, let's talk about some of your favorite tips. Where do you want to start?
So first things first, one of my all-time favorite and I think most useful tips is how to get the right Echo to answer you. So more and more people now have multiple Echoes in their homes. And I think this is a trend, Mark, that maybe has, really accelerated since we last spoke. Mm-hmm. And one of the most common complaints that I get from VoiceBrew readers, and this is definitely an issue that I've experienced in my home, is when you say Alexa, sometimes the wrong Echo device wakes up and answers, and it can be frustrating and it can create confusion. And luckily, there is a really easy solution to this, which is you can change the wake word so that different devices that are in range of each other have different wake words. So for example, I have an Echo device on my bedside table, and I also have one in my bathroom because I like to listen to music while I shower. The one that's on my bedside table has Alexa as its wake word. So whenever I want to say anything, Alexa, set an alarm, Alexa, play this, Bruce Springsteen radio, whatever the, command is that I'm saying, I address that Echo as Alexa. But when I'm in the bathroom, I address that Echo as Echo is the wake word for that one. And in order to change the wake word, you literally just have to say, Alexa, change the wake word. And then you can choose a new one. And your options are, of course, Alexa, Echo, Amazon, or computer. And this is just a super useful little tip, especially for those of us who have multiple Echoes in our homes.
Mm-hmm. And considering you can get the Amazon Echo Dot for as low as $25 during the year at certain points, like Prime Day or Black Friday, more of us are installing more than one of these in our home. And of course, calling your device computer is a nod to Star Trek. But then I guess the catch is, Katherine, you have to remember which speaker you're addressing instead of just calling them all the same thing. But that's a great tip nonetheless. Before we continue, I also want to let our listeners know that we don't want your smart speakers to go off. There is a way to train it to only respond to your voice with that wake word, but it's not perfect even if you have done that. So going forward, Katherine and I are going to say A instead of her name, so we can minimize the odds of your smart speaker going off. All right, so we were talking about some of your favorite tips. You shared the one about naming each smart speaker with a different wake word, different name. You have another one that's sort of like your all-time fave, right?
Yeah, well, look, something else that I love about A is all the ways that using A in your smart home can help you save money. So one idea for listeners is to use A-connected smart plugs with routines to turn appliances on or off on a schedule. And this is just a really easy and effective way to cut back on energy usage. So for example, it could be you could use this to turn off a space heater after a certain amount of time. With an A-connected smart plug, you can use it with A-connected lights to make sure that you don't leave your lights on, after you go to sleep or during the day. In the summer, which will come soon enough, you can use it with your air conditioner or, a connected smart plug with a fan. So this is something else that I think is really helpful.
All right. So you can use your voice to turn something on and off that wasn't really originally designed for it. So you can plug an old bedside lamp from 1985 into a smart plug and then plug that into the wall. And then now when it joins your Wi-Fi, you can use your voice to turn it on or off. And you can also set schedules, as you hinted at, and other routines and timers as well. If you want your lamp to go off in 60 minutes, you can often do that through the app as well. But we are focusing mostly on voice commands, which is really great. So I like that about smart plugs, Katherine. What's the newest Alexa command that you've learned that you really liked?
So this is such a small thing, but my favorite new A command is send a hug to mom. This came out, late last year. It lets you easily send a hug, an A hug, to any of your contacts who has an Echo speaker. Again, there's so much, super technologically interesting and sophisticated stuff that's coming out on A all the time. But what I'm really trying to sift through and share with Voice Brew readers and with all of the listeners today is stuff that's really going to impact your life in a positive way, just your everyday life. And, just getting a hug, my mom often sends them to me. It's such a nice little surprise. Just sending your contacts a hug, I promise it will be a way to just make their day a little bit nicer. And so that's something that I really like.
And what is a virtual hug? I mean, they get a notification on their speaker that Katherine is sending you a hug, that kind of thing?
Yeah, and sometimes there can be a little voice recording depending on, what you opt into, but it's nice. And it's just a nice little surprise. And you don't have to respond, texting, and there's so many platforms for sending people messages, of course. But often you get the message, you have to respond. Maybe you're having a crazy day. There's something about the hug that's just, I'm thinking of you.
And how do you send it to somebody? Do they have to be in your contacts?
Yeah, so anybody in your so if you've opted to connect your contacts to A in the A app, then A is smart enough to automatically know which of your contacts has an Echo. You probably have some sense for, family members that have an Echo, maybe close friends. So I say, A, send a hug to mom's cell.
Got it. I really like that. I mean, like you said, who couldn't use a hug during a pandemic? So the walkthrough on how to import your contacts into Alexa is on voicebrew.com. Or you can Google voice brew, send, hug, Alexa, some of those keywords, and you'll find your walkthrough there, Katherine. We are chatting with Katherine Prescott from voicebrew.com. We're going to continue chatting with her after this short break for even more Alexa tips and tricks, including a fun and free game you can play with your friends or family, whether you're all around the same Alexa smart speaker or over the internet. So stay tuned to Tech It Out for that. We have other guests coming up this hour as well. This show is brought to you by ASUS. For those in search of incredible, visit asus.com/US/radio to learn all about the Asus VivoBooks and ZenBook laptops. Very sweet. I'll tell you more about them shortly. Stick with us. We'll be right back with more Tech It Out on the Radio America Network.
Listen to Tech It Out whenever you want. Find the Tech It Out podcast at iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts.
Welcome back to Tech It Out. We're chatting with Katherine Prescott, founder and editor of Voice Brew, a free email newsletter all about your smart speaker. That's our topic for today as well. All right, Katherine, what's another new command that you've learned to try on our smart speaker?
So something a little different. For those of you who, like me, are missing having a little arts and culture in your life during the pandemic, just try saying, Open Art Museum to A. It's a very cool new A skill from the Art Institute of Chicago, and it lets you tour the museum right from your Echo Show. So what'll happen is A will prompt you to ask for a certain genre. So you could say something like, show me sculptures or show me French paintings. And then she'll show you a piece of art, and the Institute's curators and experts will tell you all about it. So you'll get to learn about its history, the meaning, symbolism, and it's just sort of, especially during the pandemic when it's a lot harder to go out to the museum and, of course, theater and arts and culture things that used to be part of so many of our lives are just not available. It's really nice experience.
Okay, so just a caveat, you need a smart display. Specifically, you need an Amazon Echo Show device, which is not just a speaker, but a screen as well. And that way you get this museum walkthrough on your screen, which is a great tip. Also, you mentioned the word skill, Katherine. Just to clarify to our listeners, this is an add-on to your Amazon Echo smart speaker, right? This is like a third-party app, if you will, and they're called skills. And you can often install them just with your voice, saying add the blank blank skill, or you can go into the app and add it. Is that right?
Yeah, exactly. It's the sort of A equivalent of like a, iPhone or Android app.
Right.
And, Amazon and its ecosystem calls it a skill.
Yeah.
And what's really nice is that, it used to be that you'd have to go into the app and enable the skill. Now, for many of the skills out there, you can just immediately start using it. Mm-hmm. You don't have to even go through the step of enabling it.
Oh, that's cool.
In the Art Institute example, you could just say, open Art Museum, and you'd go straight into it.
Speaking of pandemic-related skills, like the ones you just gave, there's a few other ones that I'd love for you to share. I remember reading a newsletter from Voice Brew a couple of weeks ago on how your smart speaker can help you de-stress, which I think is also a great way to leverage your smart speaker.
So you might be thinking of the one I did a few weeks ago, Hypnotize Me,
yes,
which is
the one.
which is a fun one. Highly recommend
So what happens
trying it.
So let our listeners know, when you say the wake word and then you say hypnotize me, what happens?
Well, I think that listeners should try it for themselves and see, different experience for everyone. No, but in all seriousness, you'll get a few different options for, different sort of types of, hypnoses. And it kind of puts you into, it almost feels a little bit like a guided meditation, but slightly different. Mm-hmm. Just a few minutes of your time, see if you like it. And if you don't, you can just exit right out of it by just saying, stop.
Right. I know that some popular meditation and mindfulness apps like Calm and I think Headspace also have Alexa skills as well.
Yep, that's right. A couple more that I'd love to share. So one of my favorite ways to use during the pandemic has been with my work from home routine. So, it's crazy to, realize that we're in month 11 of the pandemic and many people are continuing to work from home. And I definitely feel like on many days, my work-life balance is just slipping away. It's so easy to just pick up your laptop for one more minute of emails, and then that becomes an hour or more. And I pretty early in the pandemic, I created a work from home routine that adds a little bit more structure to my workday. So it sort of, kicks off with, I have it kicking off at 9 a.m. It says, okay, Katherine, time to get ready to work. Like, let's go. Makes me feel motivated. I know it's sort of time to start, sit down and get working. It reminds me to take a break in the middle of the morning, stop for lunch, suggests mid-afternoon that I might want to consider a walk. And then maybe the most kind of important part of this routine is it ends my workday. It tells me, Katherine, time to get ready, go cook some dinner, go take a break. And I have that running at, 6:30 p.m. It's important to just have that kind of nudge.
All right, Katherine, as we wrap up, again, the website is simply voicebrew.com, and they can just sign up to get that email newsletter 4 days a week, correct?
That's right.
Katherine, great chatting with you. Have a great rest of the month. Thanks so much for your time.
Thanks again for having me, Mark.
Before we take a short break and return with the Good Trust, I'll remind you what they do in a moment. Just a reminder that when you're working on your computer, to proactively back up your important files on a regular basis, I only use Western Digital products, whether it's the WD line or SanDisk. I use external SSDs or solid state drives. What I do is have an external drive plugged into my computer at all times, and I have regular backups. So every other night, in the middle of the night, it combs through my PC and it looks for anything that's new or changed, and it backs it up to the drive. It's done automatically with software already on that drive, but definitely check out Western Digital's website and their products like WD Black, G Technology, which is more rugged, like SanDisk and other external drives. So really like SSD over hard drives, but lots of choice out there without breaking the bank and super reliable. So again, WD.com. When we return on Tech It Out, it might sound like a grim topic, but what happens to your online activity after you die? Maybe you should assign a digital beneficiary. So we're going to chat with the Good Trust, a company designed to help any issues if you are locked out of your accounts, a family member passes away unexpectedly, perhaps has happened quite a bit, as you might expect, over the past 12 months. So we're going to catch up with the Good Trust to learn about their services. So a lot more Tech It Out coming up.
Want to follow Mark? Google him. Mark with a C and Saltzman with a Z. Breaking down geek speak into street speak. This is Tech It Out. Tech It Out with technology columnist, author, and TV personality Mark Saltzman.
Welcome back to Tech It Out. With all of our online activity, we do leave a digital footprint, more so today than ever before. And that includes social media, cloud accounts, email, and much, much more. So what happens when you die? Well, it might seem like a grim thought, but I think it's an important discussion. And a new startup called Good Trust was designed to help manage all of your digital accounts. We're going to learn about it right now with its founder and CEO, Rickard Steiber. Welcome to the show, Rickard.
Thank you, Mark. Great to be here.
So it's been said good technology solves a problem. With this in mind, please set up Good Trust for us.
Absolutely. Yeah, I've always been a strong believer in technology for good. But earlier this year, with the rise of COVID pandemic, came to the conclusion, as some of my family members and many of my friends passed away, that actually no one has any idea what happened to their digital stuff when we passed away. And we did a survey of 1,000 adults here in the US, and it concluded that that is actually the case. So if you think about it, everything that we have online, from our emails to our documents to our photos to our life insurance, online banking, subscription services, if we were to pass away like right now, many of these things would actually never be found. And this is, true for financial things like many money account, but as well as some sort of priceless photos and things like that. So the purpose of Good Trust is to protect everyone's legacy. And we do that in two ways. One is that if you have someone who passes away, we help you find those accounts and make sure that either we extract the photos or the data, or maybe you want to close down things like LinkedIn because you don't want to have work anniversary reminders from dead people, or maybe you want to use Facebook as a memory page to tell everyone of the deceased one's friends that they have passed away, and this is a great way for them to show their respect. So both for helping people who lost someone, but also we're coming out with a new service or the next month where you can plan ahead and essentially log out your most important sites, your documents, your last goodbyes, so that they will reach the right person if something were to happen to you.
Okay, got it. Anecdotally, my first cousin passed away at only age 40 a few years ago, and I went on to Facebook and I found a way of downloading all of his online photo albums and give them to his family and things like that. But I had to do that manually, one by one. I even guessed his Yahoo Mail password and was able to archive his messages for offline use to give to his family if they ever needed it for anything, his businesses and things like that. But I'm pretty digitally savvy. I'm pretty tech savvy. I can imagine it being an overwhelming endeavor for those who are not savvy and they don't know where to start when their loved ones pass on.
It is absolutely overwhelming. So this is still very early days. So it's pretty much only Google and Facebook that have some processes for this. But if you think about our accounts, we probably have at least 20 different accounts that are very important to take care of. Many companies don't have a process. You essentially have to contact customer service. Each company have different information requirements, different sort of documentation,
death certificate and things like that.
Which means that it's an extremely tiresome process. So what we try to do is essentially to, on our back end, we know what each site needs in terms of information and documentation. So what you do is that you tell which sites you want, and then what we do is we say, okay, then we're going to need this information, this documentation from you. You sign a power of attorney so we can represent you, and then we go to work for the 20 different sites, and you don't have to, you essentially just sit back and watch the progress, essentially. But
and are we expected to do this for ourselves? So I'm middle-aged, but I'm healthy right now and all that. Am I supposed to get the ball rolling with Good Trust on my own and then entrust my lawyer or my spouse, my partner with this this information in the event of my passing? Or is this something that family members should start thinking about as their loved ones start getting ill or older or what have you?
Yeah, I think definitely it's something that we see everyone should do, and of course we will help when it's already too late, so to speak. But if you think about it, most people don't really want to engage in their own mortality. So there are certain times where maybe you get a new job, they ask you to sign up for pension and a life insurance, for example. Then that's, I think, where we could add that as an add-on to what you're already doing, or maybe you're writing that will, which typically does mostly covers let's call it the physical world,
right? The estate. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then you can add this as an add-on. So I think there are these moments in time where you're actually thinking about this a little bit. That's where we come in, but you should of course do this anytime. And the platform also allows you to share things already today. So for example, if you have a photo album with your family, you could make that available already now, whereas your Coinbase Bitcoin account maybe only transferred to someone you decide when you pass away.
See. Okay, got it. We're chatting with Rickard Steiber. He is the CEO and founder of Good Trust. Perhaps you can walk us through how to get going. I mean, is it a one-time fee? Is it a monthly service? You mentioned there are different ways to set it up, but even in the event of your untimely passing, your family could maybe research this and look at this retroactively, but probably smarter to get the ball rolling before it's too late. But can you maybe walk us through the process from start to finish?
Yeah, it's very easy. So if something happens to a loved one, what you do is that you go to mygoodtrust.com. You essentially select the sites that you need help with. So say it's Facebook, LinkedIn, and maybe Google. And then you tell what you want. You maybe want to have memorialize Facebook and maybe delete LinkedIn and maybe extract photos from Google Photos. Then you pay. There is a fee. Right now, what we're doing is that we are helping families of first responders. So if they want to memorialize their Facebook page, they can do that for free now. And we're going to continue supporting first responders. And then the system essentially asks you for information about you and the deceased. You upload some documents, typically proof of death and proof of who you are. You sign a power of attorney, and then we have all the ammunition that we need in order to contact these sites. Typically takes somewhere between 2 to 6 weeks to get most of these things done. And then we will keep you updated on the progress. So that's how it works for if you need help with a loved one. A new service is coming out later in October, where you can do this for yourself. It's very simple. You essentially then add the sites that you want. So maybe it is your online banking, insurance, maybe your photo albums, social media, etc. And then you also tell who you want to have access to this if something happens to you. It could be different people. And then you can also upload documents. You can have your last video goodbyes. So a range of things that you may want. And then there is a solution where you could have a deputy that is your most trusted deputy.
Rickard, please hold that thought. I want to learn more about that when we return, as well as some other features of Good Trust. We'll be right back with more on Tech It Out.
Breaking down geek speak into street speak. Tech It Out, hosted by Mark Saltzman.
Welcome back, everyone. You're listening to Tech It Out, powered by ASUS. ASUS creates technology for today and tomorrow's smart life, including its line of award-winning laptops and desktops, as well as accessories like monitors, keyboards, mice, cameras. There's also smartphones, tablets, smartwatches, and much more. For those in search of incredible, visit asus.com/US/radio for more info. That's asus.com/US/radio. If there's one thing about the LEGO Group is that they don't rest on their laurels. Sure, they could just make LEGO playsets from now until eternity and people will buy them, but the company regularly invests in new ways to play. Last year, for example, they introduced LEGO Hidden Side, which fused playsets with augmented reality. So when you look at your completed playset, it's usually like a haunted mansion or a ghost ship or something. When you look at it through the lens of your smartphone camera, you saw these animated events happen, and you can play games as well. So smart. And now we're going to learn about another fusion of the physical with the digital, and it's called LEGO VIDYO, spelled VIDIYO. Joining us to chat about it is Will Thorogood. He's Vice President of Innovation at the LEGO Group, based in beautiful Denmark. Welcome to the show, Will. Good to chat with you.
Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
At a high level, tell us a bit about LEGO VIDYO. I know it's brand new, and it's a partnership between the LEGO Group and Universal Music Group, correct?
That is correct. So what we're trying to do with LEGO VIDYO is have a really playful, fun, innovative music video making experience that brings the best of both worlds together. So we're bringing all the fun and creativity of the LEGO system in play together with the world of music and the world of creative expression through music and music video making.
All right. I'd love to hear how it works, because it sounds like a bit of a disconnect that you're making videos. So I'm assuming it involves cameras, but also there's the LEGO Heritage, which is the block building fun. How do you put it together? So
that's what we call fluid play. And it's a world we've kind of dabbled in before with experiences like Hidden Side that you just mentioned.
Yeah. But
we're really trying to use this physical and digital play together in what we call fluid play. When you think about how kids play, they don't really think about, I'm playing with a physical toy and now I'm moving into a digital space and playing with the digital experience. They just see it all as play. But obviously, kids want to play in many different ways, and with new technologies available, there's a lot of great digital experiences out there. And we want to really make sure we're bringing the creativity and the fun of physical Lego play to life in that digital world as well. And that's where this music video making experience came to play. So we're providing this kind of perfect and seamless bridge between the physical world, where you take your physical Lego minifigures and your beat bits, you scan them into an app, and they come to life in this augmented world. So you can have your minifigure come to life at the same size as you in your house or in your garden or in the schoolyard. It's a really unique, fun experience, seeing those minifigures come to life. And then you can interact with them to make these really exciting music videos.
All right, I'm going to ask you more about beat bits in a minute, but the idea is that you're creating a music video with licensed tracks from Universal, but it's the Lego characters, not yourself, that's in the video?
Yeah, well, actually, you can play with it in any number of ways. But at its core, this is about making cool minifigures come to life in your music videos. Now, if you want to dance with them, you can, of course, do that. And actually, we see a lot of kids playing together, one person being the director and producer of the film, and another one being a performer or star in the music video. Likewise, when we talk to a lot of families, this is something that they feel they can do together. Have a great family time making these cool videos as well. But one of the things that we're really focused on is obviously safety. So once you've created your video, you can upload that into a social feed within the app, but you won't be able to upload videos of yourself. So there's no personally identifiable information can be shared accidentally within the app. Obviously, we want to make a safe and fully moderated social experience within there, because obviously this is an experience for kids. And we need to make sure it's perfectly safe for them to be in there and experimenting and being creative within this world.
Got it. Yeah, I know LEGO Video is aimed at children aged 7 through 10, so creating a safe universe for them is a priority. All right, so the idea is this is a music video creation kit that is both an app, so you do need a phone or a tablet, I'm assuming, to record it, as well as, do you need a special playset, or can you use existing LEGO playsets?
Well, actually, you can do. I could do a couple of things. You're right in that you need an app. So LEGO Video is an app. It's available for your mobile device. And once you download the app, you can actually start playing. There's a free-to-play experience, so you can just start playing straight away and have a go at making your first music videos without buying any product. So you can just get in there and get playing and get creative and get experimenting within this world of LEGO Video. But then we have a range of characters. So we have a blind packed collectible range of characters called Bandmates, and then we have 6 beat boxes launching on the 1st of March as well. So with these kind of bring your creativity to the next level. So you have some really cool iconic characters that throughout the development phase, whenever we speak to kids, they absolutely fall in love with these characters because they see bits of themselves in each of these characters. They're really diverse, really expressive, and very, very fresh and new looking minifigure characters. And around that, you have beat bits. And the beat bits are the tools that allow you to interact with these characters and make the performances in these music videos really unique and special.
All right, when we return on Tech It Out, we're going to continue learning about LEGO Video, and I want to know more about Beat Bits. To me, this is really intriguing, but I'll let our guests explain why. So stick with us. We're going to learn more about LEGO Video. Again, that's VIDIYO when we return on Tech It Out. I'm your host, Mark Saltzman. More coming right up after this short break. Stick with us.
Follow Mark Saltzman on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram. Listen to Tech It Out whenever you want.
We're chatting with Will Thorogood. He's VP of Innovation at the LEGO Group based in Denmark. We're learning about a new product called LEGO Video. It's an ecosystem, if you will, that fuses an app with special play sets and these little square LEGO elements called Beat Bits. And it also fuses in augmented reality and video creation. I mean, this is it sounds ambitious, and I know that it's radio, so I encourage our listeners to check it out online. I'm sure they can Google video. Again, it's spelled LEGO, VIDIYO. VIDYO in order to see it in action. Now, before the break, you were starting to tell us about Beat Bits. What is that exactly?
Absolutely. So these Beat Bits are these 2x2 printed Lego tiles. So the physical 2x2 Lego tiles with a decoration on, and each one of those can be scanned into the app. And when you scan them in, they become buttons on the app interface that you can then use to control audio effects, dance moves, lighting effects, scene effects within the music video itself. So they're the kind of creative tools, if you like, that you can use to express yourself within this video. There's a few things that are really important about them. They're a system. Like the Lego physical building system, this is a digital creative system as well. So you press one Beat Bit on its own, and it will do one thing. If you press it combined with one or two or three other ones, they will act together in a different way. So it's a bit like ingredients in a recipe. You never, through this experimentation, you never exactly know what the output will be until you try all of these Beat Bits together. And that's what's one of the things that's really exciting, is that actually we still don't know where this creativity ends for this video expression. The other thing that's really interesting with the physical Beat Bit tiles is this is actually the first time for many kids in the target age group we're looking at. It's the first time they've really experienced any sort of music in a physical form. They've grown up in a world of streaming. So actually the physical tiles become a little bit like sort of a CD or vinyl collection did in my view. And so in the beat boxes, you have a little storage unit that's a bit like a record shelf. And actually, there's a real value in these physical tiles because that they allow you to unlock this creative expression in the videos that you make. And it's a really unique and new feeling for kids to have that sort of connection to music in that physical form.
I love that because I missed that connection myself. Before we talk about timing, when we can expect this in our own homes, tell us a bit about this survey that LEGO commissioned about music and creative play. What were some of the key highlights?
It was a really interesting survey, and obviously we do a huge amount of research as we're developing experience like this. But there's some really key highlights and interesting information that came out of it that's really helped us shape the direction of this project as we developed it. For example, 89% of parents say music helps build creative skills, and 83% say it helps build confidence, which was really useful for us when we're trying to understand how we put this experience together. Likewise, 94% of parents believe playing with Lego bricks helps develop creativity, and 91% say it improves problem solving. 89% saying it builds confidence. So all of these facts together, you can see the sort of the parental perception of Lego bricks and Lego building is very well aligned with what they say about music and creativity as well, which is why we saw this great opportunity to bring these two worlds together in this Lego video experience.
Do you know offhand some of the bigger names, some of the artists that our listeners may be familiar with when it comes to the licensed tracks from Universal?
Absolutely. So we will launch with about 30 tracks in the app, and there will be new tracks coming in all the time. But when we launch, you'll expect to see artists like Blackpink, Imagine Dragons, Katy Perry, Marshmello, even a bit of MC Hammer in there for the parents. So it's a really eclectic mix of not just brand new artists, but also some nostalgic artists and tracks in there. As I said, this is something you can do with your family. It's a really great fun experience for parents and kids. So we wanted to make sure we've got a music mix that is relevant for both kids, but also the parents that want to get involved as well.
Especially during the pandemic, I like the whole focus on family play as well. We're spending a lot more time indoors, and it's something interactive and fun for both generations. So as we wrap up, Will, how much does LEGO Video cost, and when can we expect it?
So you can expect to see the products in stores and on e-commerce platforms as of the 1st of March. We have price points ranging from $4.99 up to $19.99 when we launch. And obviously these are super accessible price points. As I said, you can just start for free just by downloading the app and having a little experiment before you commit to purchase as well.
And do you buy the tracks, the music, individually if you want more than, say, the 30 at launch, or is that included?
No, so all of the content is included. There's no in-app purchase. Obviously, this is, again, a perfectly kid-safe app, so parents don't have to worry about their kids finding music that they shouldn't be listening to. All of the music is kid-safe.
Good to know. Will, it's been great chatting with you. Thanks again, Will. Stay healthy. Good to chat with you.
Thank you very much for having me on. It's been a pleasure.
Hey, thanks so much for tuning in to Tech It Out, everyone. Have a great rest of your weekend, a healthy week ahead, and I look forward to catching up with you next weekend on a brand new episode of Tech It Out. Bye-bye for now.